It's a beautiful morning. Last night we measured all of the pieces of wood to fit the appropriate lengths between the brackets. Each of these lengths is slightly different. The shed doesn't have a lot of neat right angles in it, and each one of these pieces of wood had to be cut to a different length to fit the specific place that it's going. So we measured them last night, and this morning I have just finished cutting each of these to length. So the next step will be to put them up in place and then bolt them in place.
That's the news I've been waiting for. That is in, as I'm filming, 2 days' time. So let's get ready for bonfire season. Now that bonfire season is almost upon us, I'm going to take the opportunity to get my first bonfire set up. Just for orientation, the bonfire area is over there. There's the house. I don't like to go to bonfire building too early in advance of lighting it. Too many adverts back in the day back home of hedgehogs going onto bonfires. Obviously there aren't hedgehogs here, but the point being that I don't want animals to start seeing a bonfire as habitat only to be burnt to death. I do have a plan of action for today. What I'm going to do firstly to create the sort of basis of the bonfire is, over the summer, some of this dead tea tree has fallen over here in the grevillea garden, which I've stacked into piles. There's a little pile there you may be able to see. What I'm going to do then first of all is drag that down. That'll be the base. And then essentially for this first bonfire I am going to kind of start myself at the house and slowly work my way out. What that's going to involve today is clearing stuff along this bank, so things like where some of that tea tree's got a bit big, things like this low leaves, the regeneration from the bushfires, that can be sawn off. That's a bit low to the ground. You need 6 feet or so to help stop fires jumping from the ground up into the trees. So I'll start with that. I'm going to prune the trees which are in front of the concrete water tank. I'm going to do some work on this sort of island section here, which is in front of the library and the potting shed building. And then I am going to prune the tea tree hedge which goes up the fire break, and I'm going to prune the tea tree tunnel which is part of the footpath which goes towards the orchard boundary fence. And if I have time, there's plenty more for me to do, but this is where I'm starting my day with these little tasks here. That's the tea tree moved and this bank cleared a little. The trees in front of the tank trimmed a little. So now I'm turning my attention to this area in front of the library. What I'm going to do, I think, to begin with is get the brush cutter and get this low-lying tea tree taken back, and then I'll assess this larger tea tree. There are sort of bits like this which are overhanging, which are a little bit irritating when I'm mowing, for example, and quite low to the ground. So I'll probably take those out. I might deal with this just to make this little walkthrough a little less unpleasant. And then on the front side again, I might just give this a bit of a trim, and I might look at taking some of the low hanging growth on this acacia tree off. This tree here, maybe just a little bit. I don't actually mind it so much, but because it sort of does provide a nice bit of protection, or like cover if you're on the hammock. But we haven't really used the hammock again this summer because there hasn't really been the summer for it, nevertheless. So just a little bit of tidying here. Okay, that's all going well, to the point that we've now reached the tea tree tunnel part of the project for today. As you can see, although I have trimmed it back once so far this summer, it is starting to crowd the path, and now's a good opportunity to take a decent wodge back to keep this clear all winter. What this used to look like was basically this archway of tea tree created a little tunnel. When the fire came through, this was raised to the ground. But this section of tea tree is growing, as you can see. So what I'm trying to do is recreate the tea tree tunnel. But it does mean that I'm having to cut back the sides quite continuously, whilst leaving the height. Anyway, this is the before. After. Okay, time to enter the final phase of this morning's efforts, which is starting, if not finishing, going up the fire break. This is my bonfire so far. Quite pleased with that. I'm going to collect the wheelbarrow, start in the garden area, and then work my way up. Don't let the sunshine deceive you. Now that we're into autumn, I just quickly wanted to say one of the things I like to do is give my wardrobe a bit of a refresh. By wardrobe I mean my clothes in these boxes. We obviously don't have space for an actual wardrobe. So what I will be doing to get ready is I will be taking this debobbler to my jumpers to get the bobbles off of them. I'm about to do that now, and then I will give my leather shoes and boots a polish as well. I've already started. I've done a pair of my R.M. Williams boots. I just feel like it's nice to enter the new season looking nice and crisp, and I've invested quite a lot of money over a number of years. Some of my clothes are older than my relationship with Will, and I want to take care of them. So for those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, now is a good opportunity to start getting yourself ready for autumn, winter, and by showing the things that you've invested your hard-earned money in a bit of love and attention. As I mentioned, bonfire season not only approaches but arriveth. Here is my first bonfire of the 2024 bonfire season. By no means is this going to be my biggest, although it's not going to be my last. Neither is it a rolling bonfire, it's just a straight up bonfire, comprising largely of garden waste and some of the work I did the other day around the house to start clearing and trying to make it safer in advance of next summer. So what I'm going to do now is set it and light it. This should be a relatively quick process, but as you can see, ideal day. It's not too warm, almost no wind. This should light pretty quickly, burn pretty quickly, then I can get on with the rest of my day. There we have it. First bonfire successfully navigated. All that remains are some of the larger parts of the tea tree that I dragged down from the grevillea garden. I now believe this bonfire to be safe enough for me to leave it. I'm going to go back to the house and potter on with other things this morning, and I'll come out intermittently and just sort of raking it over to make sure all of these bigger bits get nice and burnt.